Hey guys, so today I have my dupes video. I have dupes for most of, or close to dupes, or I thought were dupes and didn't actually end up being the same, for most of the mainstream 2017 spring collections. There were a few polishes I wasn't able to find dupes for, but for the most part, I do have quite a few here. Sorry if you can hear an echo. I moved into a different room, and this room is pretty much empty other than like the camera and the polishes and the desk. So since I have quite a few to go through here and these videos are a pain in the butt to edit, I'm just gonna get started. So the first one that I have is from the OPI, actually I have two here because I have the OPI, what was this, Gigi Collection. This is Getting Naughty on My Honeymoon, and then also from the Zoya Spring Collection, Charming I believe it was called, is Jordan. So these two are both really close light pinks. I compared these also to China Glaze in a Lily Bit and OPI Suzi Shops and Island Hops. So Jordan and, sorry if I'm looking over here, I've got the picture down here so I can actually talk about it. Jordan and Getting Naughty on My Honeymoon were a little bit off. Jordan was a little bit more of a brighter pink, where the Getting Naughty on My Honeymoon color was a little bit lighter. The formula on most of these light colors from the OPI Fuji collection I really didn't care for, so the formula on this was a bit of a pain in the butt. Jordan was a lot better. There aren't any exact dupes here. In a Lily Bit, I actually forgot what a terrible, terrible formula this has. My picture is 3 coats and it is very, very, very visibly streaky still. This didn't match any of the colors, but I just wanted to mention what a terrible formula this was. And then Suzi Shops and Island Hops is a little bit different tone of pink as well. So no exact dupes here, but a lot of really close colors. If you already have a couple of these, you probably don't need both of the other ones. The next ones that I wanted to talk about was Blanc Out from the China Glaze Spring Fling Collection. This was a white with a like drop or two of gray in it. This was close to My Boyfriend Skills Walls. That was the big thing I wanted to compare this to, was OPI's My Boyfriend Skills Walls, because it's such a popular color and it's a little bit difficult to find now. So Blanc Out is lighter than My Boyfriend Skills Walls. It almost makes what looks like a drop of gray in the China Glaze polish alone. When you stick them together, the gray starts looking a lot more blue. So it's a little bit lighter. I do think it's a decent alternative. I like the formula a lot better. It covers better, but it's not an exact dupe. It's not quite as dark as My Boyfriend Skills Walls. I also stuck it next to I Can Only Wear OPI, which I don't think I realized was so close to My Boyfriend Skills Walls. This one is just a little tiny bit more gray. So I actually think I Can Only Wear OPI is a much better dupe to My Boyfriend Skills Walls than Blanc Out, but this does have a really good formula if you're looking for a slightly not white. Next, I have these lighter kind of pinky nudes. This is We Run This Beach from the China Glaze Spring Fling Collection. I didn't have any exact dupes here. I was actually surprised. I have from the Giver collection from China Glaze, Friends Forever Right, which looks like identical in the bottle, but actually is a lot lighter and a lot less pink on the nail. Zoya's Anna from their Satin collection is just a little bit darker. This is probably your closest dupe. It does have a different finish, but you can always put top coat on it. But this is probably the closest dupe, but still not so close that you couldn't justify having both. And then I also compared it to Be There in a Prosecco from OPI, and this one came off really yellow once it was stuck next to all the other ones. So no exact dupes there either. And saying all of this, I'm sure there are like 1,010,000 dupes for these polishes. I probably have them in my drawers. It's a little overwhelming of a process, and so I'm sure I missed a couple. I'm certainly not saying that none of these are dupeable. I'm just saying from what I pulled out, I didn't find any exact dupes. The next one that I wanted to find a dupe for was Excuse Me Sir from the Essie Spring Collection for this year. I found so many polishes that were so close in this color, probably 90% of them being Essie polishes. I actually had to narrow it down to the 4 closest, but there are like 1,010,000 dupes for this color. I compared this to Small Plus Cute Equals Heart from the OPI Hello Kitty collection. They're not quite the same. The Essie is a little bit darker, but it is almost identical to both Couture Curator from the Gel Couture line, identical peachy pink color, and then it's also almost identical to Vandigo. I will say it has a, Excuse Me Sir has a much better formula than Vandigo. It's probably pretty equal with the Gel Couture polish. I got really good wear out of the Gel Couture polishes, so I would probably lean towards this one over the actual Essie. This one is more expensive and wear is pretty subjective, so it's really up to you, but the color for Couture Curator, Excuse Me Sir, and Vandigo are identical. So the next one that I have is from China Glaze. This is Too Much of a Good Fling from their collection, their spring collection. And I compared this first to Gelato on My Mind from OPI, which was a lot lighter and a little bit more blue. I shouldn't say a lot lighter, it was a little bit lighter. Moderately lighter, and a little bit more blue. It actually made the China Glaze look a little on the green side in comparison. And then I also stuck it next to Essie's Blossom Dandy, which was a lot closer of a dupe, but still a little bit more on the blue side. I would say you could totally justify having Too Much of a Good Fling and Gelato on My Mind. I think you'd have a little bit harder of a time justifying Blossom Dandy, but it's kind of like in between these two colors. So totally up to you. No exact dupes, but they're kind of close. The next one I have is from the Essie Spring Collection. I'm all over the place. This is Backseat Besties. This is like a Barbie pink cream. I have this next to actually two other Essies. This is Haute to Trot from the Gel Couture polishes. These are almost identical. I do feel like Backseat Besties is like a little bit more like blue. It's got like a tiny little drop of blue. It's more of a blue toned pink than Haute to Trot, but they are so close. I definitely don't think you need both. The other one that I stuck this next to is Lovey Dovey, which is a little bit darker. Still probably don't need both, but I think it'd be a little bit more easy to justify Lovey Dovey and Backseat Besties than adding this Gel Couture polish in there because they're almost identical. Okay, the next one that I have from the Essie Spring Collection is On The Roadie, which is this like light grass green, lighter. I have this next to Mojito Madness, which is considerably lighter when you actually stick the two together, even though they looked really close to me in the bottle. And then I also have Pretty Edgy, also from Essie, which is a little bit darker. So no exact dupes there. I think Pretty Edgy is really close to On The Roadie, but it's not quite exactly the same. I think you could probably justify all three of these if you really wanted to. Okay, next from the China Glaze Spring Fling Collection, I have Crushin' on Blue, which I wanted to compare to Frostbite, also from China Glaze, more of a popular China Glaze color, well, older anyway. It was popular in its day, how about that? These are close. The finish is almost identical, but Crushin' on Blue is a bit lighter. Then Frostbite, you could definitely get away with both of these. I would not call these dupes at all. Okay, so from the China Glaze Spring Fling Collection, I have tripped over that word every single time I've tried to say it. Spring Fling. Okay, this is Don't Teal My Vibe. This is a metallic teal color. I stuck this next to Sephora by OPI's Mermaid to Order. This is not available anymore. I mean, a lot of these probably aren't, but this one especially, the whole brand is gone. But this was a really popular color in its time, so I'm sure quite a few of you guys have this laying around. This is not quite the same. The color is almost identical, but the Sephora by OPI polish has a pretty strong gold shift to it that isn't in the China Glaze, and it makes them look completely different. I also have Trophy Wife from Essie, which was a lot closer because it doesn't have that gold shift to it, but it was still a little bit darker than Don't Teal My Vibe. So the China Glaze and the Essie are close, but not exact dupes, and that gold shift in the Sephora by OPI polish makes it look completely different. So I actually wasn't expecting this one to come first, but we'll go with it. So this is All The Wave from the Essie 2017 Spring Collection. This is a medium, I guess, cobalt blue. There's a hair that's like across my line of sight. It's on my nose. And then I also have Essie's Mesmerized. So these are not exact dupes. You could argue that All The Wave leans a teeny tiny itty bitty bit purple, and that's what makes it different. But these are very close. I definitely don't think you need both of these, and formula is pretty comparable between the two. I was actually surprised because they look a lot closer in the bottle than they do on the nail, and that's usually the opposite of how it works. But these are really close. I definitely don't think you need both of these. And I don't have a picture of All The Wave with Pacific Blue, with Sally Hansen's Pacific Blue, but they are not even remotely close. Pacific Blue is considerably lighter. Okay, the next one, also from the Essie Spring Collection, is Designated DJ. This is a dark, kind of plummy berry color. This is identical to both Cherry Blossom from OPI, which is from their last fall collection, Washington, D.C., and Zoya's Terra, which I can't even remember what this came with. I think this was also a fall collection in 2016. Exactly the same, completely identical, pretty comparable formulas between the three as well, so you definitely don't need Designated DJ if you have either one of those other ones. I also stuck this next to Turn and Pose, which is one of the Gel Couture polishes. This was a little bit more purple. It didn't have like the little tiny splash of red that the other three do, but it's also pretty close. Okay, from the OPI Fiji collection, I have Suzi Without a Paddle, which is a really light blue. I stuck this next to Essie's Mint Candy Apple, and they are really, really, really close. Barely distinguishable in my swatch picture. Pretty much identical, and since I wasn't a really big fan of the lighter colors, the formulas and the lighter colors in the OPI Fiji collection, I'd say it's pretty much a toss-up between the two, because Mint Candy Apple is an older Essie, and the older Essies tend to be a little bit more sheer and watery, take a bit to build up, but that's almost exactly how all these lighter colors were for the Fiji collection. So I'd say there really isn't a better formula between the two, personally. It's really up to you, but they're almost identical in color. Okay, next I have Tropical Me on My Cell from OPI. This was one of the Ulta exclusive polishes, which I don't think are online anymore, so if you were going to find this, you'd have to find it in an Ulta store. I will tell you right now, the formula of this was one of the worst polishes I've used in a really long time. It was absolutely terrible, but it was not an exact dupe for either of the polishes that I stuck it next to. I have Going Guru from Essie, which was a little bit more green, less yellow. And then I also have That's Hilarious from the Hawaii collection from OPI. That also is a little bit more green and a little bit lighter. Next up I have the yellows. So we have Exotic Birds Do Not Tweet from OPI. This was from the Fiji collection. This is like a pretty standard sunshine yellow color. I stuck this next to Zoya's Pippa. Pippa was a little bit lighter, but not so much that I would consider them different enough to own both. I have My Twin Mimi from the Hello Kitty collection. It's literally right there in front of me. Why could I not think of that? These are identical, exact same polish, pretty comparable formula as well. I also have I Just Can't Copacabana from the Brazil collection from OPI. This one was just a little bit lighter, actually almost an exact dupe for Pippa. So if you already have the Hello Kitty yellow, you definitely don't need to pick up the Fiji yellow. Next, from the OPI Fiji collection, I have Super Tropicalfugistic. I hate the name of this so much. So I compared this to my pal Joey, which is from the Hello Kitty collection. This one was a little tiny bit lighter, but I wouldn't say it was so much lighter that you need both. They are pretty close. And then I also stuck it next to Butter London's Blagger and Zoya's Mallory, which are both considerably darker than Super Tropicalfugistic, but not quite dupes. They're dupes for each other, but not for the OPI. And also, because I know what you're thinking, it is not a dupe for Pacific Blue from Sally Hansen either, for the original. Anyway, it is considerably darker. Okay, so the next one, also from the OPI Fiji collection, is That a Spear in Your Pocket? And this is a kind of medium teal color. I have this next to Garden Variety from Essie, which is much, much lighter. And then I also wanted to stick it next to Amazon Amazoff, because I was convinced in my head that these were the exact same color. But they're not. Amazon Amazoff is also, they look a lot closer in the bottle than they do on the nail, but it is also a lot darker. Next from the OPI Fiji collection is Living on the Boulevard. I stuck this next to Color Binge from Essie, which was a fall collection 2 years ago, I think. And these actually looked a little bit more different in the bottle than they did on the nail. Color Binge is a tiny bit darker, maybe a little bit more on the red side, but they are so close. Definitely don't think you need both of these. If you already have the Essie, you do not need to pick up the OPI. Okay, next I have Nails of Paradise from the OPI Fiji collection, and then I also have Tina from the Zoya Charming collection as well. These two are not close. I thought they were a lot closer than they actually are. Tina comes off a little bit warmer, where Nails of Paradise is a little bit cooler. I also stuck these next to Essie's Playdate, and there were no dupes there with either one of them. Playdate was considerably lighter than both of the other polishes. From the OPI Fiji collection, I have Two Timing the Zones, which is a kind of medium pink color. I stuck this next to Zoya's Eden. These were almost identical. Actually, all four of these polishes were almost identical. I don't think you would need, I think you could really pick one of any of these. So OPI's Two Timing the Zones from the Fiji collection, Zoya Eden, OPI Kiss Me I'm Brazilian, and OPI Flip Flops and Crop Tops are all the exact same color. So you definitely only need one of these. If you have any of the other ones, I would pass on Two Timing the Zones. Okay, next I have Hand Me My Sunglasses, which was another one of the Ulta exclusives, which are not on the website anymore. You'd have to find them in a store. Forgot to mention, I'm pretty sure Nails of Paradise, the purple from OPI, was also one of the Ulta exclusives. Anyway, I stuck this next to Can't Afford Not To from OPI. These were really, really close. Not exact dupes, but close enough that I don't think you would need both. I also compared it to On The List from the Gel Couture line from Essie, and then SPF XXX from OPI as well. These are not quite as close. These are definitely more corally than the first two are. So I would say Hand Me My Sunglasses and Can't Afford Not To are pretty decent dupes. On The List and SPF XXX you could argue are also dupes of Hand Me My Sunglasses, but not as close as Can't Afford Not To. So I have No Tan Lines, also from the OPI Fiji collection. This is kind of like a macaroni and cheese powder orange color. The only other color I could think of that's macaroni and cheese powder orange, I know I have more because I know I've used that description more than just these two polishes. But the only one I could think of or find was Zoya's Jansen, which is a couple shades darker. I definitely would not consider these two dupes. So I have from the OPI Fiji collection Polywana Lacquer, which is a light lavender color. I have Abby from the Zoya Charming collection for this spring as well. These two are actually really close, and Abby has 10 times better of a formula than the OPI did. I say it again, the formulas on these lighter OPIs were not great. So if you're gonna pick one of these two, I definitely go for Abby because I much preferred the formulas in the Zoya collection. I compared this also to Style in Excess from the Gel Couture line, which was not quite a dupe. This was darker and a bit more on the dusty side. And Essie's Lilacism, which is a little bit annoying of a formula. It's got that older Essie formula, which is also a little bit lighter than the other two. Much closer than Style in Excess, but not quite dupes. Next to, from the OPI Fiji collection, is Coconuts Over OPI. It's this kind of taupey sand beige color. I stuck this next to Zoya's Noah, and they are almost identical. Noah is like a tiny bit, little teensy bit darker, but definitely not enough to justify both. Formulas are pretty comparative. I will say Noah is one of those one coat creams that Zoya came out with. I think it's a little bit on the thicker side than the OPI, but coverage wise and everything, I'd say they're pretty comparable. Definitely don't need both. I have two left on my table, and I'm at the last picture, so I skipped over somebody here. This is what I skipped over. So I have from the China Glaze Spring Fling collection, still can't say it, I Just Cantaloupe, which is a coral color. And I have OPI's Got Myself Into a Jambalaya. These are not exactly the same. The OPI is a little bit lighter, a little bit more on the pink side. It makes the China Glaze look a little bit more orange when they're stuck together, but they are so close. Pretty comparable formulas. Definitely don't think you need both of these either. So those are the dupes that I was able to dig up for the Spring 2017 mainstream polish collections. I'm sure I didn't cover everybody's questions. I'm sure I didn't find every single dupe, even that I own, of these polishes. I was able to find a few decent ones. I was pretty proud of myself. I had this idea, before I go, and I don't even want to say anything because I can't commit to anything because I always take too much on my plate and then like half the stuff gets shoved off my plate and never gets done. But I always have people asking me to compare polishes or how certain polishes compare to other ones, and I either have to wait for those until I have a video to fill up, because I can't make a video on like one comparison. I guess I could, but I don't really want to. So I either have to wait for those to fill up and then miss a bunch or forget about a bunch. I was thinking about an Instagram page where I could compare them like by request. I'm just throwing this idea out because I'm not sure if that's something I want to commit to, because I feel like that could get really time consuming. It wouldn't be on my nails. It wouldn't be like the pictures that I show in the video. It would be like swatch sticks. But I'm thinking about doing that. Let me know what you guys think about it. If that's something, if you don't even use Instagram, obviously it's not gonna help you at all. But I just wanted to throw that out and see what you guys thought about it, because I'm not really sure if I want to commit to it, but I also really like the idea, so let me know. Anyway, those are my dupes. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will talk to you later.